Hi everyone, this is a translation in English of my previous video since my international friends asked me for more, especially Mr. Sobolev. So here is a new series of videos concerning a series of unknown texts of Søren Kierkegaard, which are, by the way, his last writings published before his death in 1855. There are 10 issues of the instant, so I will do 10 episodes by simple pragmatism. We are at this moment of Kierkegaard's life, where he will soon die of exhaustion and where his philosophy becomes more and more radical. Some people think he is crazy. He is accused of solipsism in the Corsair, a satirical magazine of the time, which represents him drawn in the center of the world. His vision of interiority became more and more radical, and his war against the Protestant bishops Martensen and Münster only intensified after Münster's death in 1854. Kierkegaard shamelessly appropriates the word of Christ as his own, since the title of the instant is as follows: How Christ Judges Official Christianity. If I translate in Kierkegaardian terms, Christ becomes Kierkegaard's war horse who opposes the church and Christianity in favor of a restoration of the true message of Christianity. It should also be noted that the last issue of the Instant was published in 1881, well after his death in 1855. The first chapter is entitled Atmosphere, a title which Kierkegaard uses for introductory purposes also before, and which is sometimes translated as ambience as well. The author begins by reminding the readers that Plato recommends in the Republic that the leaders of a government should be men who have no desire to come to power. This is even a guarantee of a functional government, since the leader or leaders respect their constituents enough not to want to oppress or even command them as a tyrant would. If a man has a thirst for power, his governance will be dysfunctional. I quote Kierkegaard: "Provided he is fit, it is better that he should be loath to do it. It is well said, no doubt, that ambition is the mainspring of action, but it is only really serious when a man truly endowed with the necessary aptitude is forced against his will by a superior motive to take on the task. In short, when he is qualified but appointed in spite of himself." End of the quote. Kierkegaard then tells us in a tone of confidence that he likes to write, but at his own pace and at the right moments, even if one can retort that he wrote without interruption during more than 15 years and sacrificed a part of his life, and even Regin Olsen do this monumental work, and that thus God imposed him regularly to write under a form of constraint, because in the instant, hence the explanation of the title of our 10 numbers of the instant. However, Kierkegaard tells us that for the writer, and especially the thinker, there is nothing better than the distance of the instant, to have the time to decant the information and to think and write magnificently. Kierkegaard also claims to be a polemicist and scornful of mediocrity, which he attacks through writing, not in the public square, but in the silence of writing. Kierkegaard, designated by necessity and providence, can no longer benefit from the distance. He must write in the instant. His motive is always the same: to make true Christianity triumph and to criticize Christianity in the state it is in, especially among his contemporaries who criticize his writings. I quote, "with jealousy and foolishness." End of the quote. It should be added that he will also be particularly virulent with churchmen in general. The next paragraph is entitled, "It Must Be Said," or "How a Decision is Made." End of quote. Kierkegaard talks about decision making motivated as usual by interiority. It is one and radical. First the calm, then the outburst. The decision is translated as in Enten eller or else by supposing an extreme choice between two extreme solutions, either to serve God or to serve him only up to a certain point, that is to say, to do it badly in this case. The service of God is found in the or else or else. The next paragraph has a convoluted title, The State, the Christian State. Can it justify itself in making Christianity impossible, if possible? Kierkegaard immediately answers in the negative. In truth, the state does everything possible to make Christianity impossible. The resemblance to Schaffner is clearly discernible. Kierkegaard improvises here himself as anarchist and critic of the politico-religious. The civil service should not include preachers in its ranks for pay. This is contrary to true Christianity. It is only because there is a flock kept in line and as numerous as possible that the priest can be paid, and that he has an interest in keeping each individual far from the message of true Christianity. The priest should not be able to make a career out of a climbing ladder. Kierkegaard advocates a flattening of the hierarchy of priests, again another point in common with Stirnerism. The mass of Christians who are so numerous and unbelieving because of the false message, one could say the business of the church is in fact an offense to God and the New Testament. He infinitely prefers this confession to the nausea of a cult where he is mocked. There is strictly numerical, functional, and commercial logic that leads to a blasphemous cult rendered by false Christians. The next paragraph is entitled Take a Vomitory. By this, Kierkegaard says two things. Get rid of what you have in your stomach, that is a burden to the mind as well, and get out of your state of lethargy, get out of drowsiness, inaction, procrastination, etc. The vomitory serves to evacuate the nausea produced by the Christianity of the priests and by the message of Bishop Martensen, who qualifies some of them as witnesses of the truth, while they are just profiteers and false Christians. Kierkegaard adds another supplement that closes the first issue of the moment. The reversal of meaning is interesting, since Kierkegaard, by writing, transforms the instant into something of eternity and sends the true Christians back to the reading of or else and the New Testament. That's all for today. I know it's quite technical. Bye everyone. Salut tout le monde.